Okay, so once again, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr. Mutu Murugan, and all the colleagues that you work together in the university. And by showing you these pictures of me in India, I want to say hello to all my friends from India. I love your country, I love your culture, I love your people, I love your food. So I love India very much. I have been to your country 2 times, and the first time I was on a wedding, and then I could experience some very traditional way of living in India. Okay, so, but let's make a long story short. Let me start with my presentation. And today I want to talk to you a little bit, why do my patients still have early childhood caries? Even if you work in a public service, or even if you work in a private office. If you work in a private office, you may have new patients coming with caries. And even if you work in a private office, you might have your own patients having new caries lesions, right? So my idea today is to explore this issue with you, bringing you some new and not so much new perspectives. So I would split my presentation in 4 topics. What do we know about ECC? What do we need to do to prevent ECC based on what we know? And what are other important aspects that we should be taking into consideration to deal with early childhood caries prevention? And how can we contribute, we, all of us, those who work in private office, those who works in public office, those who works in academia, how can we contribute to enhancing the preventive impact on early childhood caries? So let's start with this first topic, what we know about ECC. Okay, according to the IAPD Bangkok Declaration that you know, early childhood caries is considered 1 or more decade missing or filled surface in any primary tooth of a child under 6 years of age. When we say decade, we mean no cavitated or cavitated lesion. Doesn't matter if it's a decay, it's considered early childhood caries. And also, if we have missing or filled tooth due to caries. This is just to bring the definition that we are using nowadays about ECC. I'm sure you know this. And what is the prevalence? According to this systematic review, we know that the prevalence of ECC is very high all over the world, running for 30% in Africa, up to 82% in Australia. So it's a very important health problem all over the world. We have this brilliant article written by these authors. His name is, I don't remember his name right now, but anyway, I didn't put the name here. Sorry about this. But it's a systematic analysis of prevalence studies in caries in any age. And what we have from this article is that the information we have from this article is that around 600 million untreated caries in deciduous teeth. So it's a big burden of problem based only on early childhood caries all over the world. Boom, I think is the name of the first author, is coming to my mind. Sorry about this. But based on this article, we also know that there are some peaks of caries along the life course. One of the peaks is at 6 years old, the other peak of caries is at 25 years old, and the other peak of caries is at 70 years old. It shows us clearly that there is a long life course of caries, a long life course of the population. And the first peak we have along this life course at 6 years old is mainly due to early childhood caries. So it's really a big problem in oral health that we have to deal with this. And this idea or this concept about dental caries during the life course has been written in many articles. I can bring here 2 to you that I was one of the authors, and we show very clearly that when a child has caries, it's most probably that this child would have caries along the life course until get old, right? And not only caries, it's very interesting because this recent article has shown us that in the conclusion of this article, they say 5 years old with greater caries experience, which means early childhood caries, were more likely to have poor self-rated general health by midlife, which means this article shows us that children who have caries when they were young and they have caries along the life course, when they are in the middle age, they also consider that they don't have a good general health. So there is a link, of course, as we know, between caries and general health, not only oral health. And the main impacts of early childhood caries that we know already by many articles, and I bring some of them to you, is that early childhood has been associated with poor growth. It has been associated with nutritional deficiency in life, so children will not have enough vitamins and iron and any other important resources for nutrition. And they can have behavioral and sleep problems. They can have, of course, poor quality of life. It has been demonstrated in many different ways, in many articles all over the world, in systematic reviews. And also, this article here is very interesting because it shows that children who have caries, young children, early childhood caries, they can have problems at school as well, like school absenteeism and poor educational performances. So early childhood caries, as we can see from what I have shown you now, is a big burden, not only for the society in terms of cost to be treated, but it's a big burden for the family, for the child, for the way of living, and disrupts the quality of life of the whole family. We know by now that early childhood caries risk factors are very much studied, and we know that one of them that is very important is caries experience. So children who had caries when they are young, they will probably have a greater chance to have more caries when they are older. And these are the articles that embase what I am telling you now. And I just want to quickly highlight this article here in the bottom right, which is a systematic review and meta-analysis based on case controls and cohort studies that was written by the group that is organizing this event, CECCRe and Murugan. And I know you all, and so it's a good paper. I quote this paper quite a lot, as you know. Another important early childhood caries risk factor is socioeconomic status. It has been demonstrated vastly all over the world with many papers, systematic reviews, and meta-analysis showing us that the private population, the private families, the private people have more chance to have any chronic diseases, including caries. But caries has been in children, has been associated also with low income, low schooling for mothers and father as well. It has been associated with the job or employment. So we can see that socioeconomic factors can contribute a lot for children have early childhood caries. Also, we know by many articles that have been published that one of the main risk factors is sugar intake, right? Highly sugar intake, especially the frequency of sugar intake. And also we know that another important risk factor is poor oral hygiene or plaque accumulation, visible plaque like this one that you can see in this picture. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about the risk factors. I'm just trying to remind you briefly about these important risk factors because I want to bring you some other perspectives about early childhood caries. And of course, the group of this group of India that is organizing this event, CECCRe, Murugan, and other people, they showed us very nicely that in the systematic review that also enamel defects can be a very important risk factor for early childhood caries, especially because dental enamel defects have lots of porosity, and because it has porosity, you can have plaque accumulation in this porosity, and then a dental enamel defect can turn into a lesion, dental caries lesion, very easily. Based on all of this that we have just shown you, showing that dental caries can happen very early in life, and it has a life course event. We know the burden of these early childhood caries, and we know the risk factors. So what do we need to do to prevent? I'm not going to bring anything very, very new, but I want to bring some new points for you to think about, right? The solution we know, but I want to bring something else to you. Okay, according to this Bangkok IAPD Bangkok Declaration, a paper was written by Professor Norman Chinanoff, and he shows us beautifully that based on many epidemiological studies made all over the world, that in the world we have 17% of children 1 year old with caries. And this percentage, this prevalence of 17 doubles to 36 when these children have 2 years old. So it shows us clearly that according to the increase of the age, it also increases dramatically the percentage of children with early childhood caries. And this is shown here from 1 year old to 5 years old, right? So having this in mind, we have to think about start the prevention of caries very early in life. And I'm sure you have already known and have heard about the importance of 1,000 days in life that has been advocated by many health professions, especially medicine, and they say the 1,000 days of the life is very important because you can make very good effort to avoid health problems along the life course. And it also is good for dentistry as well. So, but look, I have just shown you that 1 year old children in the world, 17% of 1 year old children in the world might have already one lesion of caries. So we have to be aware that if we think about 1,000 days to prevent caries, we have to find the right time, because if we get in our office a children 1 year old or 2 years old, they might have already developed some caries, and that's what we want to avoid. For those who are not so much familiarized with this term of 1,000 days, I want to briefly explain to you that 1,000 days includes the 270 days of pregnancy plus 360 days of the first year of life plus 360 days of the second year of life. Putting all this together, we sum up a 1,000 days. So since the moment the person knows is pregnant until the time of the children completes 2 years old is the 1,000 days, which is considered a good opportunity, as I already told you, in health professionals and health ways of living, right? Why pregnancy is so important? In dentistry, we have seen this systematic review and meta-analysis that showed us that if the mother have oral health care during the pregnancy, we definitely can have a lower early childhood caries incidence. And also this longitudinal study has shown us that, as we know, of course, but just confirm, that mother habits can influence child's preference, and children's diet and oral hygiene behaviors rely on parents. So if we work during the pregnancy, we can avoid early childhood caries by oral health education and explaining to mother, especially to change not health behaviors into health behaviors, adopt health behaviors. And by doing this, we are trying to avoid not only early childhood caries, but also chronic diseases like obesity, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and so other ones that have sugar as a common risk factor, as I'm sure you know. By saying this to you, and I have just shown you that 1,000 days the first 1,000 days in life means pregnancy, first year of and second year of life, summing up together. And because we know that the prevalence of caries is 17% of the children in the world 1 year old might have caries, we have to look to this and say, well, where's the best moment for me as a dentist to work and start doing the prevention? So I would say the first 450 days. Because if you leave to, if a child has a first visit in the dentist at when she or he has 1 year old, it might be too late because this child might have already dental caries. The same might happen if a child comes to you as a first dental visit for the dentist for the first time when she or he is 2 years old. If it might be too late because this child with 2 years old might has already some dental caries lesions. So the idea that I want to bring to you is to shift a little bit this consideration, this concept, and say, wow, instead of suggest or encourage the first dental visit of a child to a dentist during the first 1,000 days of life, let's do it on the first 450 days of life. And why is that? Because we know that the first tooth that erupts in the child's mouth is around 6 months of age. So it means 270 days during the pregnancy plus 180 days, 6 months of the child's life. Together, we sum up 450 days. So this is for us in dentistry, the good period for us to start doing prevention before the first tooth erupts in the mouth. And this is a paper we have written. I am one of the authors of this, trying to bring this concept to the dentistry and for us to think about it, what I have just explained to you. And this is based in one of the suggestions or recommendations written in the Bangkok Declaration, saying that we have to provide preventive guidance within the first year of life. And as I showed you, during the first year of life, if we do it at the end of the first year of life, this child might has already dental caries. So let's do on the first part of the first year of life to avoid definitely dental caries. So based on this IAPD Bangkok Declaration, what advices and recommendations we can give to this child that is coming to my office before the 6 months of age to the first visit? What we have to recommend based on WHO and the IAPD Bangkok Declaration is to limit sugar intake in foods and drinks and avoid free sugars for children under 2 years of age. Because we know that early introduction of sweets intake during the first year of life can put children in a trajectory of high and severe ECC levels. This has been shown by these two papers that I'm showing you here to you. And another important recommendation is that we have to perform twice daily toothbrushing with fluoride toothpaste, at least 1000 ppm in all children, using an age-appropriate amount of paste. So this is also very supported by any systematic reviews, meta-analysis, and other studies. But even if we do that, even if we do these recommendations, even if we can attend children on the first year of life, especially if we attend this child on the first 450 days of life, even if we do all of this in our dental office, either in a public office or in a private office, we might have these children coming back to us with new caries lesions, right? So then I want to talk to you what I think it's important for us to think about it. What are other important aspects that should be taken into consideration to prevent dental caries and especially early childhood caries? One of them we know already is the oral health education. It's very important that we educate children I have just shown you what are the main recommendations we have to give to the child and to the parents, because we are talking about early childhood caries. So it's better that we do oral health education to the parents, because the parents are responsible for the oral health of these children during this period of 1 year old up to 6 years old, right? But we have to have in mind that oral health education alone may not promote short and long-term improvements in oral health. And why this is true, and it is based on these 3 documents that I show you here, but there are many other ones showing us this, is the fact that it's not because you tell to the parents what they have to do that the parents will do it. It happens not only with oral health, but if you say to the parents, don't leave the children in the car without seat belts, and they might say, okay, I know that I don't have to keep children in the car without seat belts, but somehow many of them drive in the car without seat belts for the children. So it's what I want to say to you is that it's not only because we tell parents what to do that they really follow our instructions. So we have to do oral health education. Of course, it's important, but we have to find a way to do it that we can encourage parents to change not healthy habits into healthy habits. One of the problems that we might have with the parents is that they might not have oral health literacy. And what is oral health literacy? That's very important. And that's what I think I'm bringing now, some new points for you to think about it. Oral health literacy, according to the literature, is the degree to which individuals have the capacity to obtain, process, and understand basic health information. What I'm trying to say to you is that you probably do this to the parents. You say to the parents, like I just mentioned to you, one of the recommendations is to brush the teeth with fluoride toothpaste with minimal 1000 ppm. I guess hundreds of parents don't understand what you are talking about. And you ask to them, do you understand what I'm saying? They say, yes, of course, I know what you say. But in fact, they are not familiarized with all the vocabulary and all the expressions and all the dental materials and all the words we use in dentistry. If you say to them something simple recommendation, sometimes you can say, okay, bring your child back to me next week on Wednesday at 9 a.m. And then they come to you and say, when I have to bring my child again to you, sorry. And then they maybe not understand simple information and might not understand even a more complex information, because you are educated and you are doing your oral health education, but they are not understand 100% of the things you are explaining to them, right? And this is a chart. It's written in Portuguese, and the child is saying to the father, say, Dad, I want to live in that other world, because they live in this poor area of the city, but the child says, Father, I want to live in that other part, the rich part of the city. And what I'm trying to bring to you is that we have to work and try to help our governments, municipalities, states to start and develop and create a supportive environment. And why supportive environment is important is because you, through a supportive environment, can empower and reinforce both children and families to maintain the behaviors that you explain to them to promote oral and general health. What I'm trying to say here is that we explain to the child and to the family that they should not eat sugar, for example, on the first 2 years of life. They understand that they don't have to give sugar to the children on the first 2 years of life. They understand this. They have no problems with the interpretation. But in real life, they don't have money, for example, to buy vegetables, fruits, or they don't have access, or it isn't for them to buy ultra-processed food instead of natural food. And this is one example of supportive environment and not a supportive environment. Supermarkets, when you go to the checkout point, what do you have there? Chocolates, candies, and everything. If you have your child with you in the supermarket, I'm sure that this child is going to ask you, please, Dad, can you buy a chewing gum or a candy? So supermarkets are not a supportive environment. Schools are not supportive environment. You see here on the right side, small tents where people sell candies, chocolates, and sugary food for children at the outside of the schools, in front of the main door of the schools. And this man here, I put this picture, it's funny because he says, listen, I try to sell cereal bars, but children don't buy cereal bars, so I changed cereal bars back to chocolates, chewing gum. So what I'm trying to say here is that in your office you say, don't eat again sugar on the first 2 years of life, and then the parents understand. But when they are on their real life, when they are in their environment doing the regular things, they have very easy and free access to all this that is against the recommendation you have given. You give the recommendation, but the environment doesn't support you, the recommendations you have given to them. You might say, drink much more water you can, but when you go to restaurants, when you go to canteens, when you go to any places, parks with the children, they don't sell waters, they will sell soft drinks, right? So that is the concept of supportive environment. And I'm going back one slide, because when you have a supportive environment, it really easily and naturally empower and reinforce the recommendations you have given to the parents, okay? For example, what people are doing nowadays to try to make a supportive environment is trying to tax sugar-sweetened beverages or foods, and this has been studied all over the world in many different countries. And then also another example is try to change and make it easy for parents to read the labels of the foods, or you make big signs on the pack saying this is not sugar-free food, this is ultra-processed food. So trying to make easy for the parents to understand what is in that food. This is good because you can bring some public health actions to make these products that are not healthy for mouth and general health more difficult for people and family to buy. But some studies have shown that if you increase the prices, even increasing the prices, people buy this food. So we have to try to find other ways. Increasing the tax is only one of the ways, right? Okay, and going to the last point of my presentation, and I'm trying to cover this in 30 minutes. Okay, let's go back here for a minute. How can we, me, you, academia, people who work in private offices, people who work in public health offices, doesn't matter. All of us who knows something about oral health promotion, how can we contribute to enhance the preventive impact on ECC? You might say, I'm not a politician, so what can I do? Okay, I'm gonna try to explain this to you briefly before I finish my presentation. We have already known that through cross-sectional studies, we have identified the problem, ECC, for example. We know by the cohort studies that what are the risk factors, and I showed you this. We know by randomized clinical trials how to prevent and how to treat ECC, right? And we know by systematic review how are the evidence and the high evidence that we have to prevent, and to which dental materials we have to use, what technique we have to use to treat early childhood caries. But because we now have this high amount of information by cross-sectional studies, cohort studies, randomized clinical trials, and systematic reviews, it's time to implement this evidence. And that's why, and that's what I would say, dentistry is now stuck, and we are trying to find easy ways, good ways, straightforward ways to implement the science, to implement the information we have, to apply for the population the evidence we have, and this would make the population having a better oral health and probably living in a better environment, because if we implement all we have, we can slightly change and shift the environment as well. And what are one of the ways that you, me, and everybody can do this? You can do in your private office, educating your patients, of course, but basically what we are trying to say is that WHO has been improving population oral health through telehealth. In our case, teledentistry. So, Oral Health Organization has been written this, has been launched. There's 2 books, or that is free of, and you can download from your website, about how technologies can improve oral health. And teledentistry is one of the ways we can achieve people in different parts of the world. I can say Brazil is a large country. We have been using teledentistry in our dental school, and I can easily explain to you that and share with you the experience, maybe in more deep way in another time. But through teledentistry, we can reach people in many ways, not only other way around. You rely only on people who can come to you in your dental office, who can come to you in your dental public health office, or come to you in your service. But through teledentistry, people are in their house. You can have access to the way of their living and understand better the way of their living. And through teledentistry, you can promote and implement all the evidence we have through dental literature all over the world. And to finish my presentation, sorry if I have not following the 30 minutes, but I'm finishing right now. I think I still have a few minutes. I want to explain to you this picture, which is very famous in public health. If we are in our dental office, treating children alone in our dental office, we are doing what these men are doing. They are trying to dry this floor. And that's what we do in our dental office. We explain to the child, don't eat sugar, tooth your brush, use fluoride toothpaste, for example. But when this child get out of our office, they come to the environment, to the society where they live, and they don't live in a very supportive environment. So they are going to the supermarket, they are going to the school, they are going to restaurants, they are going to canteens, and they are going to buy sugar, even though they have heard from you, don't eat too much sugar. So because you explain to them in your office, but the environment don't give them a chance to keep the information you have given to them. So in your dental office, you are trying to dry the floor while the taps are open here on the top. So you're gonna get water all the time while you are trying to dry the floor. So what we have to do is leave the dental office and try to turn off the tap. How can we turn off the tap? We have to many ways to work and with the society and say, okay, I am doing a small role, but I'm trying to help the society to stop early childhood caries. And this is a very good paper, not new, it's a long time ago, it's 2007, but this Professor Richard Watt, I studied with him, he has been showing this for a long time. If you are alone in your office, you are doing clinical prevention. In the bottom of this of this scheme I'm bringing to you, you are doing clinical prevention, you are doing a downstream health education and clinical prevention. If you do chairside dental health education, you are working alone, you are doing something good for your patients, but you are not doing anything good for the society as a dentist. So as much as we move upwards in this arrow, we are helping the whole society to become healthy, and at the same time, we are helping our patients to live in a health society and keep the health messages we give to them. One of the things we can do, we can help our community to develop strategic actions to, for example, don't sell sugary food at the checkout point at the supermarket. So it's something you can do in your society, in the neighborhood where you live, or you can use other strategies to improve the health societies. Okay, sorry if I didn't follow exactly 30 minutes, but just to conclude my presentation, I want to say that we know the prevalence, the trend, we know ECC is the beginning of a life course, life with caries, and we know the impact of ECC and the risk factors associated with ECC. What we need to do to prevent caries, early childhood caries, maybe something new to you is that the ideal time is on the first 450 days of life. Don't wait for 1 year old, 2 years old children. Start before the first tooth erupts in the mouth. And of course, limit sugar intake and toothbrushing with fluoride toothpaste. What are other important aspects that we should take into consideration? Oral health education, oral health literacy. Be sure that the parents are understanding what you are talking about, and try to help, if you can, to have a supportive environment where your patients and where your family lives is going to be good for your patients, it's going to be good for yourself. And to finish, what are the contribution we can give to enhance the preventive impact on ECC? We have a chance to implement the evidence, because I explained this to you. We can use teledentistry to help more people and give more access to oral health and oral health literacy and information in a good way. And we can work in upstream actions in order to try to get health society. Okay? By saying this, I want to say thank you for you once again to invite me to come here. And I want to briefly bring you this link for the IEPD website. I would like to invite you to come and have a look on this. And I want to thank all my students, PhD, master's student, for helping me in writing the papers, publish the papers, and develop some ideas about this. I'm sure I'm not going to have a chance to answer all the questions and answers that you might have made. So here is my email address if you want to get in contact. And this is also my Instagram contact if you want to get in touch. And let's make Amolar happy for the rest of our lives. Thank you very much.